What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another live to roll with you guys. This week, Valentine's Day coming up here, so we're gonna be talking some sex, dating, and relationships. We got our friends Rocky and Sarah here. I'll let them do an introduction in a second. We'll get our quick ones out of the way. I'm Shawn Fluke. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Bobby, you want to go ahead and then we can introduce them?
Yeah, you finally got the official 20-year.
I
Now
did
you don't
finally.
have to say almost. Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Bobby Rohan, C56 quadriplegic as well of 34 years, almost 35. 1 month, I think. But enough about Shawn and I. Let's get to our wonderful guest here today, Rocky and Sarah. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello.
Hi, I'm Rocky,
You want to go first?
and
You
that's
go.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'm Sarah.
And I can go first.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Uh, it's great to be here. Thank you all so much. I run a YouTube channel here with Sarah, called Rocky and Sarah, and we talk about our life in our van, which was where we are now. Tina is our name of our van, and
Nice.
traveling around. And I'm very happy to be here.
I am Sarah Swafford. It's very nice to see you all again and to see all of you. And I run a YouTube channel with Rocky. I'm also a certified sex educator and a love and relationship coach. And I am also the disabled half of our chronically ill and disabled relationship. I have
you're the
yes.
you're the better half.
Yeah. Woo!
It's true. It's true.
Sorry,
And
Rocky.
Rocky.
I have to say that for when my wife watches this, she would be like, "You better say she's the better half."
It's true. It's very true. It's very
Right?
true.
And Rocky is my main character and support as well.
Yeah, that's great, you guys. Yeah, we got to meet you guys in at the Phoenix Expo last year in 2022, I believe, and we've been talking and kind of. Yeah, it was right.
Yep.
Yeah, 2022. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I was at end of, it was the end of the year, but yeah, it was
Yeah.
September, I think. But yeah, that was really cool meeting you guys, and we've been in contact. And I just thought with Sarah being a sex educator and them just like having a cool channel and everything, highlighting their relationship, I thought they would be a really perfect guest to have on here with us, you guys. And you guys are, and I didn't even know you were a relationship coach too, as well. So that's even better. We got all kinds. We're set here today.
Worked out.
Yeah, Sarah, can you explain that a little bit? What did that entail of being a relationship coach?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm a sex educator and a love and relationship coach. And really, the coaching part is, I like to say, like, I am there to learn with you. I'm there to explore with you. So, if somebody has like a specific, goal or things, maybe they're just coming out as, part of the queer community, or maybe they have just been very hesitant to explore like the world of dating or relationships before, or maybe they're getting out of they recently got out of a long-term relationship, a long marriage or something, and now they're re-entering the world of dating. I'm just kind of there to like help support them in those goals and help provide lots of resources to make it a more fun and positive experience.
That's really
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And it's not, you don't focus just solely on the disabled community. You focus on all communities then.
So I definitely, yeah, the overarching umbrella is kind of everybody, but I definitely have a specific focus on the disability community and the LGBTQIA plus community. Those in particular are really the kind of crux of my focus. And it's like a magical situation when it's somebody that is queer and disabled. I'm like, my people.
Yeah, and Sarah recently gave their first talk at Van Life Pride, which is one of the events that we support. And Sarah gave a beautiful educational talk, kind of about safer practices in the bedroom, and we even
Accessibility.
we talked about accessibility and specifically how to kind of how to use it, how to be safe in a van if you're trying to be intimate and not
Yeah.
harm yourself, ways that you can do that more comfortably for certain communities and bodies.
Yeah.
So it was a very popular talk, to say the least. It was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really
can
cool. And
imagine.
yeah, if you guys want to mention, so they are, like you mentioned before, you guys doing the van life. You guys have been living and traveling in your van for how long now? You said 8 months, or
3 years.
Almost 3.
3 years?
Years now.
Sorry, 3 years. I don't know why. When I
Oh.
got 3 years.
We've been
That's right.
slowly getting to our full time. We currently base ourselves in Texas, but as I mentioned to you earlier, it's a little oppressive for us. We don't love it. We are a queer couple. We are an interracial couple, obviously, and so some areas of the country are a little harder for us to be in sometimes. And so we found van travel to be really kind of that easiest next step for us to be able to go and explore new areas. And we spend a lot of time kind of close out by y'all near California.
Yeah, we love the West Coast.
We love it out there.
You need to stop by. We need to stop by maybe for one of our big events coming up here at the end of April. So you got a little time to plan and hit us up on the way. The last weekend of April, we have a big event. So I would love to have you out there and join
Very
us for our
cool.
big festival. But so tell us what the van idea, with what you guys were trying to start with the relationship. How did that go hand in hand? Here you are giving, sexual and relationship advice out there to your YouTube community. And then you got this van. Now, I watch a lot of people traveling in their van and doing exploring, but I've never seen it on this other side. So if you want to give a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's actually what started us on the internet in general was our relationship, talking a lot about me being a trans masculine person, Sarah being a non-binary person, and how our relationship works. And people just started to ask, like, tell us more, like, tell us about your daily life. And that's why we moved kind of off from telling our story on Facebook into this area of YouTube. And we started noticing a lot of van lifers on YouTube, and we were like, "That's such a cool thing."
Yeah.
We thought at first, should we do a tiny home? Should we just travel full time? But then it was like we were dreaming. We were seeing all these cool, like you were saying, like really, like, excuse me, like really big creators climbing mountains and doing all this stuff, and we were like, maybe we can take part of that but not the full part of it, and maybe we can kind of make it fit with our life. And Sarah has been kind of navigating, like when we met at the accessibility expo, we were looking for more accessibility devices.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had just it was really just the last probably 4 or 5 years that, well, I guess like 5 or so years now that like my health journey has been a much bigger part of our lives.
Yeah.
And like the disability has been a much bigger part of our lives and part of our story.
Excuse me.
And so, it's been in those last 4 or 5 years that like I've received finally some new concrete diagnosis about different things, and just started to, trying to navigate my life and, getting around and living life in that new way. And so like Rocky said, like a big part of that was finally going to trying to connect more with disability community in person, not just online, which I will say as a caveat, like the disability community online has literally saved my life.
Sorry about that.
In a very literal way. So I'm just so grateful that we are able to connect with each other online. And we were just really excited at the opportunity to go to the Abilities Expo and not only start looking at more like mobility aids and mobility devices for me, and kind of like as that journey has been progressing, but also to connect like with folks like you all, and just start kind of like bridging those two worlds. It was something that like I knew things were going on. We were dealing with a lot of like trips to the ER and constant trips to the doctor and like what's going on for years. We've been together about a decade now. So it was a long time of us knowing things were going on, but not really people taking us seriously or not having the right specialists, not seeing the right doctors. And then finally, that's all kind of started to come together. And it was like, oh yeah, this makes so much more sense. This is a huge part of my life. And I feel very, I felt some frustration that it had taken so long. And then, we already felt like being visible, like Rocky said, like as an interracial couple and as a queer couple was really important. So we just felt like, well, we also need to highlight this huge part of our life. And Rocky also kind of moved into much more of a caregiving role for me. And so that was another thing that we were like, yeah, we need to talk about this. This isn't, and then so through the lens of travel as well, like Rocky said, we're seeing all these fantastic van trips and people, going to these beautiful places that were very inaccessible. And, I'm still acutely aware of my proximity to able-bodiedness, which is still, very different than a lot of the other disability community, the rest of the community. But just, even in small ways, like things were just hugely inaccessible.
Airplanes.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, just we wanted to really start exploring more of that and showing more of that. And so we've got a lot of content coming out soon about like my first time, using wheelchair services at the airport and using different mobility devices and, things like that, that we just feel like are really important. And like we mentioned earlier to you, Shawn, like, we're also really excited to potentially kind of explore more of that through the lens of van life as well. Like, what will it look like when I start traveling with a chair? Like that. I'm actually really excited about that and sharing that with folks. So I hope that long answer answers your question.
No, that was great.
So the wheelchair is something new for you in the last few years, it sounds like.
Yes, it is. So I actually did end up making a purchase of a chair at the expo where we met Shawn and Tom, and I don't believe we met you there,
Bobby,
No,
but
no, there, yeah.
yeah, but where we met, and Brianna, I did end up purchasing something. It was
Majestic.
I think that might have been the brand. It's a wonderful brand, and like, I have no problems with it, but I'm sure this is a very relatable thing, at least from everything I've read. It's like it hasn't been exactly the perfect situation. It hasn't been the perfect, device yet.
The
And
perfect, yeah, yeah, the perfect fit for your first chair.
exactly,
Especially
yeah,
not with the van and how limited our space is,
yeah.
which it was like, of course, we had already bought our van. Then we went to the expo for the first time and saw much better
So many,
options, of
yeah.
course, and
But we were also
yeah.
paying out of pocket. We've had a lot of trouble with, and this is another reason why we're talking about moving. We've had a lot of trouble with our health insurance in Texas for various
mm-hmm.
reasons. And so that was another thing. We, had only a certain budget that we could spend, because we were paying completely out of pocket. And I'm sure, as you guys know, it's like these devices can go anywhere from a couple $1,000s to tens and of thousands of dollars and beyond. So, we're still kind of like adjusting and trying to find like what exactly is going to be the best solutions. And also being like an ambulatory wheelchair user, I have different needs as well. But yeah, I mean, it's been a new experience. And I'm also, to be completely transparent, there's also been like my own internalized ableism that I'm still, bump up against sometimes, where I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready to like take the chair out here or be around these people with my device. It's a new thing.
No, that is new. That
Well, when you're ready,
transition is hard sometimes
go
for
ahead.
people. Now, I was gonna say, yeah, I know that because, like, for some of us, like the spinal cord injury, you're just flipped forced right into it. But I've met a lot of people that are more like, slowly having to use more and more mobility devices, and I know I'm sure that is a little bit hard to kind of get used to and to transition fully over to. But Bobby, go ahead.
I was going to say, that is a great thing. What you said, Shawn, the slow transition must be hard. And even for us that flipped, on a dime, one day we're moving around like there's no problem and the next day we're not. Our first chair is a disaster, no matter which way
Yeah.
you put it. We're not used to it. We don't know what to ask for. they don't know what your lifestyle is going to be. They don't they don't know much. So it's a shot in the dark. And we all say out there when we have our support groups that, our your first wheelchair is definitely not the perfect scenario. I mean, back when I got hurt, I was much, much skinnier. And they put me in a 18 by 18 wide, 18 wide, 18 long chair. And I was probably a buck 25 at the time. And now, I do have weight on me. I'm a buck 45 now, and I'm in a 15 by 15. No, really 14 by 15 chair. So that's how custom I've come down to getting a chair over the years. And, because the next chair was 16 and the next chair was this. And, it just took a while. And so when you are ready, I do have a company. It is only cash, but there are grants out there, and the grants would probably accept you as, hey, I do have a chair, but it's not the right one for me. It doesn't fit right for my lifestyle. And when you brought up the van, that's a perfect scenario. I mean, there are definitely different considerations. So I was supposed to get my brand new chair yesterday. We just had to change one little thing for an attachment that I have, but it was fit like a glove. So when you're ready, they're the only company I would recommend right now of getting a custom made wheelchair.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I
That's
would
awesome.
love to learn about that, and I'm so excited for you that you're getting your new chair very soon. And I just really appreciate that feedback and perspective that you were both giving about like the first chair is not always going to be the best. But also, yeah, I like this is why I'm so excited about having these conversations, because of what you brought up, Shawn. It's like it is such a different thing. It is such a switch when, like you said, like you have an injury or something really sudden that happens that literally switches from one day to the next versus, maybe something that's like longer term or whatever, taking longer to play out. But I think it's one of those interesting things, right? Because it's like multiple things can be true at once. It's like they're both like traumatic and stressful things.
Yeah.
And they both have their, like, I wouldn't say pros and cons exactly, but it's like they're different journeys, but there are so many overlaps.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. So you guys want to talk a little bit too? We'll get into some of the dating stuff first. You've been together for about 10 years now, you said, almost a decade. How did you guys end up meeting in the
It's
first
almost
place?
our anniversary.
Is it almost your anniversary?
Yeah, it's almost. Yeah, our anniversary will be on the 25th of
25th.
March. Yeah, which is it's just a little bit past Valentine's Day, and yeah, so we met online, but we like to tell people that it was online plus, because I think that that's super important, because we hear the horror stories, especially of today's dating world, online.
Oh,
And so we want to fully also disclose that we met online, but then we've kind of, vetted each other through Facebook and found mutual friends that were very close to us and asked them if we should consider going on a date with each
Oh,
other.
wow.
So it was kind of like we met online, but we probably should have met well before that, and just no one thought to put us together,
yeah,
which is
Nah.
pretty common.
yeah.
So you guys each had friends, you're saying? So you guys each had some mutual friends okay. Interesting.
We
Yeah,
had two. It
and they
was
were together,
and
and
they happened to be together at the time. And
That's-
so and they were very close friends of both of ours, so it was just a real surprise that we hadn't actually crossed paths
yeah,
until we did. But then once they kind of gave us the thumbs up, gave each other the thumbs up, we were like, oh, all right, let's do this, let's go on a date. And then
yeah.
honestly, it was one date and that was history.
Oh, that was it.
we
Yeah,
Oh,
were we
that
yeah.
was
went
it.
fast.
That's why we love
Mhm.
your story, because we also just just knew, it was just like you just talked to each other for a long time, and you just know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was a really good match. But we did take one. I took one of those online quizzes inside of the dating app, and Sarah did too. And so the dating app like pinged me and was like, "Hey, did you know that you
You're like a
90%
98% match or something with this
match
person?"
with this person? You should message them and see if they're interested in you. And I was like, hey, like, I don't know if you're like into trans guys or anything, but like, if you are, no, I don't think I really like said all that, but I was like, I think we matched. Do you want to go talk? And like, we got some things to talk about. And then we just chatted, and Sarah was just like the best first date I had ever had in my entire life. And they were just like letting me like, we were just like holding hands and just like, it was just like very, it was just, it was very like your first, first real relationship kind of feeling,
It was a very super sweet and very like intimate first date in that we talked for hours. We met at a hookah bar.
Yeah.
I think a hookah lounge, and it was like you had to bring your own, beer or cider or whatever. So we brought some hard ciders and we closed this place down basically talking, and it was just like, oh, this is, it was a really like a date,
Yeah.
It was nice.
That's really nice. That sounds great. That's cool though, you guys, because the online dating thing is hard. I had tried that in the past too. It's just not. It's hard. That's really cool that you guys were able to use that, but already kind of should have maybe met or crossed paths before, and that's cool. It sounds like it was meant to be.
Like I was telling you earlier about my Instagram, that's how I tried. Just before I met my wife, I was starting to sign up for that, and just going through it, going, I sound dumb. I'm not putting it out there. So, but thank God that shortly after that, I met my wife. And it's always, I don't know if you guys have that experience. Were you looking for someone, or did it just happen? I mean, because I was done. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm still enjoying my. I just got into my 30s, and here I was. I'm like, I love my 20s. Let's have a little more fun. Being a single guy and not having to worry. And all of a sudden, here she came, and unexpected. So were you unexpected starting to date, or were you really looking for someone?
I think this is important.
Yeah.
I think what we're about to say is important, especially for anybody who's gonna date soon. Like, I know, I think you can go ahead, but I think we're about to both say that I was on my last chance. I was about to delete everything. And I wanted to be in this kind of love my whole life. So the fact that I had waited, and it's like I was single for a long time when I was a kid until I was 19. Nobody wanted to date me in high school, and I was just like, I'm over it. I'm a good person. I have value. I'm not gonna beg somebody to date me. Right? This was my last app. I was literally about to hit delete, and it was like, would you try Sarah? Right? And so I always tell people, like, if you want this in your life and it's part of your life plan, you got to keep going. What I never knew that Sarah was literally up the street from where I worked every single day making sandwiches. Sarah was up at the Institution Theater, which was the improv theater that we got married in, almost every week. So we had so many opportunities to run into each other. My eyes were just not ready to be visualizing what was happening, And so I just tell people, like, if you're thinking about doing it, like, if you think that this is something you want to partner, I think you got to stick with it a little bit. Don't take any abuse, but I was on my last thing. I don't know how you feel.
Well, I think, I was also, I had been on the apps for a minute, not a super long time, but for a few months, and I had gone on quite a few not great dates, not very nice dates. And honestly, like, what I've heard in the last 10 years from all of our friends who are still on apps and things, it's only gotten worse. It's only harder and harder to find people that even want a real date, not to mention a real relationship. Like, a lot of apps really are just hookup apps now, and that's a whole other thing. That's like, there's totally room for that, but another combo. But if you're really trying to like date, then I agree with Rocky. Like, I do think there's a certain amount, that, you just kind of had to keep going. I was definitely getting really sick of the apps as well. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I'll just take a break from apps and just go back to trying to like meet people at, a restaurant or a bookstore or whatever, try to meet people in person. But I mean, the apps can be brutal. I've been reading some really interesting things about why that is lately too, and I'm fascinated.
But there's no substitute for, chemistry. you know. And I think like when you feel it and you know, and like I just had gone my whole life probably just like trying to date people, but not really understanding what chemistry felt like and how it shouldn't be feeling that difficult, right? And so I just think I learned a lot from like, you know, like, 'cause I'd been off and on those apps for a while. So I learned a lot about what it should feel like to be in a relationship by finding this one, you know?
And knowing what you want. I
Oh,
think
yeah, for
that,
sure.
you know, the thing that was lucky about our timing, and this probably resonates for, well, both of you probably based on what little you've shared about your relationships with us, but, you know, it's knowing what you want and knowing um what exactly you're looking for in that moment. So I think the reason that things gelled the way they did for Rocky and I, and the reason the last 10 years has flown by and overwhelmingly been so wonderful, um, is because we really wanted the same things when we met. We both really had an idea of the kind of relationship that we wanted. We had an idea of, you know, why it was that we wanted to at some point get married, and you know, different things like that.
Even though we couldn't get legally married at the time,
Yeah,
we did, you
yeah.
know, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal.
We knew we wanted that commitment, whether
Yeah.
it was a legal thing or not. We knew we wanted to, you know, have a certain level of seriousness to our
Mhm.
relationship, and you know, so I think that really helped a lot, you know, for us to be able to really go like full-fledged into our relationship. And I also think too, like, we were exploring alternative relationship types before we ended up in a
Oh,
monogamous
yeah.
marriage together. You know, before that we were like, well, I don't know, maybe we should explore, you know, like I said, just alternative relationship types. And you know, that wasn't really resonating with us at that season of life either. And I think, again, it's because we knew what we really wanted. We just hadn't found someone else that also was looking for that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's what, so like I kind of, it was in a similar place where I had done the apps off and on, like just always never worked out. And I was at a point where I was done with the apps. I wasn't like, I just deleted the ones I had tried, was just like, well, hopefully I'll meet somebody, you know, like something will come along. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I kind of just was like at a point where I was ready to kind of give up on it. And then I met Leah, and we just, same thing, like just would talk for long periods of time, just have great conversations. And it just was like this instant like chemistry, where, yeah, you just kind of, you could just feel it. It was different than anything I had before. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand that. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Proud of
So,
you.
So
That's
I,
good. That's
thank
great.
you guys.
so if you can talk a little bit about your other portion of your relationship when it comes to your the I'm sorry, I'm lost at words of how to address it, I guess, because I'm not used to asking a couple and having them right there. But I wonder if you want to help me address it and let our audience better understand about that portion of your relationship.
Like the
Sure. The
sexual part you're
ability
talking
portion.
about?
Or,
Or,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
well,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Like, sorry, do you mind, do you mean like how we define ourselves, or like our
Yeah,
sexuality?
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
your
great.
sexuality and how you define yourself. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We can talk about that more. So,
Yeah.
I'll start first. I'm a trans man. I think most people, when they think about trans people, they probably think about trans women, but there's different sections and identities within the trans community, and I am the more masculine side of that spectrum. And a lot of times, what I'm looking for would probably be more similar to what we would think of as like a boy meets girl type cisgender heterosexuality, but I am pretty fluid in my sexuality, so I call myself queer. And that generally just says that I'm an open person to most people, but generally my type is somebody kind of like Sarah, even though Sarah I like presents feminine,
More on the feminine
you know,
spectrum.
but yeah, like, but the way that I might enjoy sex might be that I might be a more dominant person, maybe in this particular situation, or I might want to take the lead more, or things like that. And maybe I don't like certain acts done to me that other people with my same anatomy might like. Maybe I like to use different um, marital aids and other things to kind of help keep things very spicy and exciting for my partner and what my partner might like. And I also suffer from an injury. I used to be a paramedic, and when I worked as a paramedic, I got into a scuffle with a patient, and I hurt myself pretty badly. And so I also have to kind of employ interesting positioning and things so that I can actually participate in our sexual life in the way that feels really like comforting and not uncomfortable for either of us. And so we do a lot of strategizing as a couple on, especially when we're in this van, on like whose leg is going to go where, like how do we have to, like what angles do we need to be in, right? And like, should we install a trapeze? We do a lot of that, and we've been like that our whole relationship since before Sarah. I think this is what makes Sarah such a great sex educator, because even as a sexual partner, Sarah has always just been like, consent first. What feels okay? Like, what's okay to do next? Like, this is what I need. And I've just never had anybody be so communicative with me in that way. And it's just been like, we kind of do, I think, what most people would probably do when they're trying to make each other feel good. But I think we're pretty dang inventive. Like, we even brought some visual aids.
We'll share those later,
just in case anybody really needs to understand. But I think you can use your imagination,
and as far as Rocky kind of touched on not only his sexuality but also his gender identity. So which is trans masculine and trans man.
True.
And I identify as a non-binary person. Sometimes I will call myself a non-binary femme or a non-binary woman, because the reason I would use non-binary woman is because I also know how the world perceives me, and also womanhood is pretty inextricable from a large part of my gender journey. But as far as like, what does that really mean to me, non-binary? It just means that I feel that my gender is more than just male or female. I feel like, if glittery space dust could be a gender, that would be my gender.
Okay.
And really for me, it just comes down to like, I like the pronouns they and them. But really, any pronoun, as long as it's coming from a place of respect, or well, not any, they or them or she, her, is, as long as it's coming from a place of respect, that is totally great for me. But then as far as like my sexuality, I identify as pansexual, which is also similar to queer. I identify as queer as well, kind of interchangeably, which just means that for me, my romantic and sexual partners and experiences, I'm very open to that. I'm very fluid. So in the past, I have dated cisgender men, I've dated cisgender women, I've also dated other non-binary folks, and I've dated some non-binary folks that are more like me, that might lean more into a feminine presentation or femme presentation, and a kind of the way they dress and whatever. And then I've also dated non-binary folks that are more androgynous or more masculine, and then I ended up marrying a trans man. So that's just how we ended up. But yeah, our sexual, like, that's kind of, I guess, and then just one point I was going to make also, when Rocky was sharing, so my sex life might look a little bit like this or that. Trans people are not monoliths. None of us are monoliths, right? So what Rocky's sexual identity might not be the same for every trans man. There are some trans men that are very much like, I am straight. I am a straight man. I only want to date cisgender women, or something like that. Or I am a gay trans man and I only want to date other men, or whatever. But yeah, we love talking about gender and sexuality. It's such a beautiful tapestry of people and of experiences. And even for us, I'll be 36 in a couple of weeks. Rocky's 41, and just the things that the kids, the youth, are always teaching us as far as how language develops and personal identities and how you express those identities. It's just beautiful. It's fascinating. It's beautiful, and it's constantly evolving. So what we say today could evolve over time. It definitely has for me. When we first met, I was like, I am a cis straight woman, or not straight, but I'm a cis queer woman, and since then.
And the way that the community dealt with that information when Sarah made such a drastic change in public eye, like being on social media, people just could not understand the sexual aspect of our relationship. How are we even happy? How is Sarah even happy? How am I even happy? And there was a lot of questions around that, even though we were just talking about our relationship and being married and being in love. People really were curious about that.
Well, they were very hyper focused
on how does that even
sex.
work? Yeah.
And I think this is a real crossover point that we've noticed as well, having disability conversations. People are hyper focused. Well, if you're, if Rocky is trans and you are non-binary, how are you having sex? Well, if you're disabled, Sarah, and Rocky is less disabled or different, chronically ill,
how are you even keeping it spicy?
How are you having sex? Yeah. I think a lot of disabled people, we hear that kind of messaging a lot. We're like infantilized, we are desexualized constantly, and people make a lot of really gross assumptions. Yeah. And people get very focused on people's genitals combos as well.
Yeah. And you probably see the big spectrum of, you get probably a lot of love and support, but then it swings the other way where people just, really don't understand and choose not to understand for their, stupidity. And so it must be tough to put it out online. And I'm sure we're all, everyone's is getting used to it, that this is, you are out there and you're able to explain it, express it, and let it, we're not putting it on you. This is us. And I think that's that's the real thing, where people who probably are on that other side where they just don't understand, because, they're not putting it on you. So don't worry about it. They're just expressing who they are. So why does that hurt you?
Yeah.
We didn't mean for it to fall in love and then create this big political statement. In fact, I kind of grew up thinking no one's going to be able to love me, right? Like, or like, I'm not going to be able to find that perfect mate. I'm going to have to settle. And I just think that was just so important for us to start to share that, like, love might look different than you could ever expect and never imagine. You never know who it might be or what might show up, and love might change and grow and redefine and how are you going to show up for each other? And I think that a lot of people, when they do show us love, they are saying, we really love your love and the way that you grow together and learn together. And that's really what we're trying to share, I think, when we're sharing about us, for sure. So thank you for seeing that. I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, no, you guys definitely like it. Your relationship, your love and bond, like, really comes off when you guys are talking. Like, it comes out, like, you can see it, and it's great. And honestly, it's really, really great to see you guys like so in love, and it's awesome. I love it. So, and I was gonna mention too that that disability thing is so common and frustrating sometimes, because a lot of people do just assume anything with disability, you're just non-sexual. You have nobody's gonna want to be your partner, like things like that. So like, that's really, really cool.
There's such like dangerous and incorrect assumptions, and especially when we're talking about younger people, like as you were saying, Bobby, like the queer community, just like the disabled community, just any community, no one is trying to say this is what you should do, or this is what you have to do, or this is how it has to be. We want people to know that there are options. There is a world of understanding out there, and there is a world of people out there that will accept you, that will love you, that will care for you. If love is your goal, if sex is your goal, there is somebody for everyone. And I don't mean that to sound,
or somebody's,
or somebody's, as far as, whatever your goal is, like, and don't get me wrong, it's definitely can be much more challenging to find a partner for a long-term romantic or love type relationship than it might be to find a hookup. But I think both of those things are just really bad messages that we send to younger people, or I mean people of all ages.
Everyone
There's
looking.
people that come out at older ages, and just like there's people that get injured every day or become disabled every day for XYZ reason. And that can be a huge fear and heartbreaking experience, for folks to think, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to have sex again? Is anyone going to want to have sex with me? You know, just leaving all the romance and love out of it, even just like the mechanics of things. And it's like, oh, yes, honey, there's a world of ways to make things happen and have a great time.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it.
If you want to do it, you can do it.
We have an isolation epidemic in our world, and I think it crosses across all experiences. It's not just queer community that's struggling out there, right? We cannot build community together if we're too afraid to talk to each other, to express what we want. There's so much opportunity out there, but I think when we see, like, we fiercely want to protect young people that grew up like we did, and I remember distinctly the isolation making me feel like I didn't want to be in the world anymore. And I feel like if you can if we can tell one person every day, like, there is a community for you, there is someone for you,
Yeah.
people will love you, you will find someone, like, that is important to constantly put in the universe, because I think the world tries to tell us the opposite all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we really believe in it. Yeah.
That's great. No, you guys are awesome. That's such a special thing you guys are doing, and that's amazing. Can you guys want to give a little bit of advice just on, what you guys do to, keep a healthy relationship, 10 years in? Bobby, I'd love to hear from you too, because you just hit your 20-year anniversary too with your wife. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, like, what can I get, if you guys want to, like, share just some of the stuff that, you guys do believe that, just the cornerstones of maintaining that relationship.
I would say first and foremost, it is communication. It is talking, like, or communicating, as cliche as that might sound. It really and truly is. And it's opening yourself up to new ways of communicating with each other, and not being afraid to have the courageous conversations, or being afraid to have the courageous conversations and having them anyway. Really opening up and being vulnerable with your partner as time goes on, because your wants and needs, whether they're romantic, whether they're, just dividing the daily chores, or whether they're sexual and intimate in nature, those things are gonna change for whatever reason, because your body is gonna change. Your and your desires, most likely to some degree, will fluctuate and change. Everything has kind of like seasons. And so just constantly trying to be in a place where you are open and vulnerable with your partner or partners, about that kind of stuff, I think can be, just even having those conversations in and of themselves, like, can be connecting, can be bonding, can be exciting, can, sometimes being a little bit nervous about stuff adds to the excitement too. It's sometimes can be a little bit sexy. Oh, you might hear our puppy.
Our little emotional support animals having a
puppy,
little bit of a collapse. Just 1 second. Okay, yeah. We're good. Okay.
But yeah, I think really and truly, it's like just keeping that line of communication open, and and like Rocky said, like, consent is a really big part of that too.
Yeah.
And remembering that, like, just because we're in a long-term relationship with someone and we do love and trust them very much, they love and trust us very much, hopefully, that still, like, there's that constant, okay, let's talk about this again. Let's reconfirm. Just because we tried something once on a whim for a weekend on our anniversary, I might not consent to that again, or you might not consent to that again, or whatever. So I think, just keeping that open. And then, remembering, I think the other big thing for me is, like, so many of us have been fed this narrative since childhood, whether it was through religious trauma or whatever, but fed this narrative of shame, and that sex and intimacy is gross, it's dirty, it's should only be in the dark, it should be very quiet and private, blah blah blah. And I think doing what you can to like let go of some of that shame. And for me, that really looks like getting in touch with the playful side of myself. Of course, this is an adult activity, but we can approach it with a playfulness, a youthful playfulness. And I think just remembering that, like, intimacy and sex is play. It's okay to laugh during sex. It's okay to, try something and be like, this wasn't the thing. I'm not going to do that again. It's okay to, try things and not like them, or try things and be more curious about
not
them.
be successful.
Not be successful. Yeah. And like, just remember that, like, it's play, you're spending time playing with each other. Yeah. And so yeah, that's really, I think those would be my two biggest advices: communicate, and find new ways to communicate, and then have fun. Like, find ways to have fun and be playful.
And I'll keep mine short because I want to hear from the 20-year veteran. But but I personally think you gotta believe in each other's dreams. And you got to be each other's biggest support, and you got to be each other's biggest fan, and you just got to keep that forever, because I think the world doesn't really root. Like I noticed the world doesn't root for Sarah the way that I think they should, and so I'm gonna be that one man rooting squad, and so I just think it's important. But I pass the mic because I gotta learn.
Yeah, I
need to learn.
Tell us, Coach.
No, it's. You said the first word. It's communication, but if anything, I can say it's communication / patience, and patience is a big.
Patience, yes.
Yeah, you have to have patience with your partner, of that person, because no matter what, we are our own person. I let her be her own person. She lets me be my own person. But somewhere we have to gel, and within that we have to find the lines of what's going to work and what's not going to work. Because some of my style of the way I live and the way she lives don't always interact, and there, you can butt heads. I'm more of a guy that likes to wake up and just go, do something and change something on a lickety split, where she needs, it's not on my calendar. What's going on. So we have to learn, I have to learn that, maybe I can't change things, and maybe I have to learn to communicate. Maybe next week we are, I'd like to do this. Is this going to fit in your schedule as well? So, we have to go back and forth and learn each other, and we constantly keep learning. And, I'd say, she's my best friend. And what I mean by that is, somebody that I can trust with everything, and vice versa. And so I think, no matter what, we don't judge one another on, who we really are. And so I think that's our little style, but the patience is a big thing, that and the communication. I'm not very communicative, but you have to learn real quick, and you're going to learn that, Shawn. So you hear that, Leah? Make sure he's very communicative. So
yeah.
No, yeah. I appreciate the advice from both of you guys, being a newlywed here. So that is, and that's something I know I have to work on too. Because I've also, I think in my past, like, I've never had like a true partner like that where I was, wanted to share in everything with. So it is newer to me, and I'm trying to to figure it all out and stuff and get it. But I do appreciate that from you guys both. And communication, I do understand that is such a key important thing, and patience too. I agree, Bobby. It's just like so I'm just hoping that I can be like the best partner that I can be, so like in the relationship. So, and I love that you guys said, like you said, Rocky, like championing for Sarah, and vice versa. You guys are like your number one fans, really support. Like, and I do that. That's for sure. That should be the way it is in your relationship. And Leah actually
Mhm.
said she also roots for you, Sarah, in the chat. So that's my wife. She's
You know,
love you, Leah. You.
That's sweet.
when you guys when you guys were talking about what works for you, something that works for us too is we give each other a lot of space. But
Yeah.
as I said that to myself, for you two, here you guys are and living in this van life, how does that evolve for you guys? Where does the space come? Because I think space is important. Sometimes we, there is, I think it is a healthy thing for us that I have my own things and she has her own things. I go to a lot of events. I mean, a ton. And Shawn's right with me, or there's, a lot of other ones. And my wife doesn't go with me to probably 90% of them because
Yeah.
yeah, she likes seeing everybody and she knows everybody, but she also wants her life and she needs her space. So we have each other's spaces. And I think that works for us. So what works for you guys when it comes to space, living in the van life?
Good question.
That's a fabulous question. And also I appreciate so much what you said about the patience. That is so true. But yeah, as far as the space thing goes, that I think is so important. And definitely, moving from not having the van at all and only having, our home together and then moving into such a tiny space as you can see. Um, yeah, I mean, it definitely has challenges, and I think we've been a lot better. I think at first we were kind of, there was a little bit more rub, and we didn't know how to really express that because it's like we wanted to be together. We knew we needed space, but maybe we didn't exactly know how to ask for it. And I think it was easier for us to identify it in the other. And so I think what kind of naturally ended up happening was we started asking each other more like, hey, do you need a little space? Or hey, maybe why don't you go take a walk? Oh, well, Rocky, why don't you go take a walk? I'm gonna like stay in the van and read my book for a little bit, and we started doing little things like that. And then I think we do other things sometimes, like there's certain hobbies and activities that like I enjoy that, like, I don't know, going to get my nails done or something, and even just that, it's like I will go, but I'll kind of make a day of it, I'll go and I'll get my nails done, but I'll also go to the coffee shop next door and I'll hang out at the nail salon, because I know the person that works there and we're friends, so we hang out a little bit longer. And, and while I'm doing that, Rocky is writing music or doing, one of his hobbies and creative things. And I think that definitely helps is like, I'll stay in the van sometimes and he'll go out or he'll drop me somewhere and he'll keep the van and the dog for a bit. I think like things like that really does help sometimes because
Yeah.
we are a couple that we we have a high level of like wanting to be physically together all the time, and a lot
Sure.
of people are like, wow, that's a lot. But everyone needs, like you were saying, Bobby, like you need to have your separate lives. You need to have things that, friends you can talk to and things you enjoy that aren't always only tied to each other. So
Yeah.
I think, even if you are a couple that does love to be together a lot, it is good to have those separate times. And I think
Yeah.
conversely, I think it can be a little bit of a red flag if there's a huge mismatch there. So again, when you're kind of talking about patience, it also makes me think of compromise as well. So, if one of you is like, I really like to be together 99% of the time, and the other one's like, I would be happy
No,
being
thank you.
together 20% of the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's like you've got to kind of
That's
find,
a mismatch.
yeah, you got to find,
Yeah.
and not that they're at work, but you've got to find that compromise, to give both of you a little bit of what you need, and both of you be a little uncomfortable with not getting everything you want
Yeah.
or need.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and we don't talk about this a lot in our discussions because it's just like everybody can list this stuff off. But Sarah also has narcolepsy, and I think that
One of my many exciting disabilities.
I think that like we have a mismatched sleeping schedule. So I think another thing is I find my own space in those times where maybe we're not matching up on like wakefulness. So I'm able to,
Well, and
okay,
I have to take naps.
exactly,
Like, it's
exactly.
literally, I have to. And there's times where,
I have
like
to.
you, Bobby, like Rocky wakes up, he gets up, and he's ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I'm over here and I've got narcolepsy and I've got EDS and I've got POTS and I've got all these other things that really take all my energy. And so it's like that rationing that, my spoons are less. And I'm really rationing my energy. And it's finding that balance, because sometimes I
Yeah.
get jealous of that he can go out and do so much. And
Yeah, we learned that the hard way on our trip to India, which was like probably going to be our last international trip for a while because
we
it
needed a
was
break.
so difficult. And where it's like we're not even really on the same vacation, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, what is the goal? And we got locked down in Texas in 2020, and we were together all the time, and we were like, I'm going stir, I'm just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think we learned a lot of like healing moves
Work
from
around.
it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's.
Yeah. That was a. Sorry, Shawn. Go ahead.
I was gonna say no. That's great advice from you guys. Because yeah, we're like me. I actually do. We have enjoyed spending majority, like almost all of our time together, and I know that is partially me. I love having her around. Like it's just fun. Like but I do understand that, and I can see how like yeah, we can a little bit of space and things and stuff and different activities could be good sometimes. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you guys up some more for some of that relationship advice here because you guys do have a very similar like we literally spend all our time together, so like it's we're not in a van yet, but that's what we were talking with you before is we're looking into getting a van, maybe not to live in, but we can do travel trips and stuff in. And so yeah,
we see it every day. Couples that are close to each other, I think are doing really well out here. And we see retirees, we see new couples, we see everyone out here, and it's really great.
And one note that I just wanted to mention really quickly too, because again, I think this comes up a lot when we're talking about like interable relationships, or relationships where caregiving is an element too. Like Shawn, don't let people make you feel bad for wanting to be with your person a lot too, because a lot of people love to like throw around the word like codependent, you're codependent, and yeah, that is a thing, like that can happen to people. And yes, this is why the world of like therapy and therapeutic intervention is important. It's good to have people that are professionals that can help guide you through if you are dealing with a codependency. But what I don't think gets talked about is the fact that like, yeah, those of us that have partners that are a part of our care team, whether they're our primary caregiver or just a part of the team, still like that's a different thing. I don't think it's fair to call it like a codependence, or I don't think it's fair to kind of look at our relationships with the same level of scrutiny.
Yeah, same lens.
And or the same lens that you might in with a relationship with two non-disabled people or more. I think it makes sense that you want to be with people that also understand what is going on with you and your needs additionally. As well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for that. I do appreciate that. Appreciate hearing that. So, thanks, guys. We are kind of getting to the hour here now too. So before we do wrap up, actually, I'm gonna do our sponsors and upcoming shows, and then if you guys want to do kind of a final thought for sex, relationships, anything else you want to share, anything like that, we'll give you guys that last couple minutes to give that to share that. So real quick, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors here at Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. They are amazing sponsors and helping to keep the channel free for everybody and the content, not behind any paywalls and stuff. So thank you. Mobility Professionals is a DME specialist here in Southern California. So if you are looking for a wheelchair, shower chair, anything like that, scooter, any of the larger mobility devices, they can take care of you. They're here in Southern California, so if you're not local, we can hopefully find you a good company elsewhere. But Urology Professionals is nationwide. It's their sister company. So if you need catheter supplies anywhere in the country, they ship all over, and they're amazing people. They have people within the disability community working there, helping out. They volunteer at events all the time here in Southern California, just on their own time. They're out there doing it. So we appreciate their support. And thank you guys. And thank all you guys in the chat, everybody that watches, and other supporters. We definitely appreciate you guys. So thank you,
And,
everybody.
love. You guys give us love here in the chat with everybody. Welcome. We have a new one, Julius. Welcome to the Live to Roll family. Grace, and I think we had Velma, grandma is in the house. I got to scroll up here. I know we had Roberts in the house, Andrew, Paul was here. So thanks everybody in the chat. And you've been with us, and also mobility professionals and urology professionals have given us so much love over the last couple of years of sponsoring our channel, helping out with Shawn, and making sure that we're paying the bills, because this is not free just to get online. It does cost a little bit of nickels and dimes. So without them, we couldn't be here. So big love and big shout out to your urology professionals and mobility professionals. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate them. And so let's get to some of our upcoming shows. Tomorrow, Tom should be on T-Fizzle Gaming, doing gaming every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So check out the gaming stream. It's definitely just a little hangout, fun stream for you guys. It's always a good time. So join Tom, check him out. He's always playing some fun games. And if you want to hop on with him, he's always looking for people to play too. So send him a message and get in the game, get on there. And then this Thursday, we have our Real Girl Talk coming up with the ladies, and they're going to be talking. We did relationships and intimacy and stuff today. They're going to be doing finding love for yourself after injury or after disability. So it's all about self-love. So check that out this Thursday, 3 p.m. The ladies will be on sharing their journey with self-love. And then next week, we actually have a new show debuting, another gaming stream, Gaming with Hell Wheels. Our friend Sir Rob, which is going to be a little bit different. He's going to be talking some tech talk, playing some different games, more PC stuff. So it will be different than Tom's stream. So we got 2 different gaming streams, 2 different nights. You guys definitely want you to check them out. And make sure to hit that bell and subscribe if you guys aren't already subscribed, so you get those notifications. And then we're back every Tuesday, 3:30. We'll be back on. So join us next Tuesday. I think we have our friend Tyler coming on. We're going to talk some outdoor recreation and sports activity and stuff. So that should be a really fun topic. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, I mixed that up. That's the following week. Next week is FDR. It's day after President's Day. We're talking polio and FDR. We have a guest with polio coming on. So we're going to share some other disability stuff. But great shows coming up in the future, you guys. Check us all out. And you know what? We might as well just share. We got Bobby and the guys on the second and fourth Thursdays. So make sure to check them out. And last but not least, we have Rolling with the Golden Oldies, the first Thursdays of every month. So these ladies have all been 35, 40 years plus in the chair, lots of experience, and just talk about what that's like aging as women with disabilities. So,
and if you haven't already, if you haven't already, check out their first show. That was February 1st. They did an amazing job. So take a look and see what is next to come for them. And we're really excited to have them all with us.
And one last shout out. All of our Tuesday and Thursday shows are available on podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We'll have this one uploaded in the next day or so. So make sure to follow and check that out as well. But all kinds of great content, lots of places you guys can find it. And make sure to check out Rocky and Sarah on their social medias as well. Links are in the description. They got their Instagrams. I have to add their YouTube, so I'll do that right after the show here. And then, check them out, follow, and we appreciate all you guys. All right, so we got all that stuff out of the way. Now, do you guys want to give us some last thoughts / share anything you think would be important for anybody with disability, anybody in these communities that are underprivileged communities?
I think just overwhelmingly, just knowing that you are valuable, you are priceless, you make the world better, like just by being here.
And we're glad you're here.
And we're glad that you're here. And like Rocky said, there is a community waiting for you, whoever you are. Like you said, Shawn, if it's LGBTQ plus community, if it's disabled community, both, something else altogether, there's a community waiting for you, and we love you.
You can meet with us. We have meetups that we host for LGBTQIA people. We have Camp Pride coming up with Van Life Pride in our collaboration with them. And we're on our road to 1,000, and we show on YouTube here, and we show a lot of our travels and how we've been navigating things. And thank you for introducing us to your community, and we love you guys, and we love watching you, and we're so glad we met you.
We appreciate all the sweet feedback so much,
yeah.
And we are just really honored to be here, and we're so excited to tune into all these new exciting episodes. I was like nudging Rocky, like when I was hearing all the new episodes coming up. I also love that there's a self-love episode coming up, because as a sex educator also, like, don't forget that you don't have to rely on other people for your pleasure. You can take care of yourself, baby.
Yeah. And with that, we'll bring our marital aids out and say, reach out to Love Sloth and more about different might find that can help you find. All right.
No, we appreciate that. Thank you guys. You guys have been awesome, great guests. I feel like we could have talked about this and talked with you guys for hours on here, but we will try to wrap it up here in the hour or so. But thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys, and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys, everybody watching, all the supporters, listening, everything. So thank you guys. Live to roll, and we'll see you guys on the next one.